everything, and for everything there is a season. So man and man must reason. So I think it's prime time that we address some more issues. Simple information I will use. No rocket science to get you confused. So relax your mind, make sure everything is fine, while I take you down a poetic line. Trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain, you now refrain. I remember you say Liberation Day, and I ask, you sure is that you wanna say? Cause you sounded so good to believe. And deception is a powerful thing when you lose your rightful thinking. So we voted for the bling. But you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain, you now refrain. Yellow, yellow all the way is what everybody say. Cell phone ring, man answering. Yellow, yellow, no hello. Teeth get yellow, house get yellow, bus get yellow, man get yellow, even green get yellow, and so says 11-4. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain, you now refrain. Old school parables say you know what you have, but you don't know what you go get. So cherish what you have to diminish regret. But what on earth lasts forever? Not even things created by the great Jehovah. So the green grass ceased to grow to allow the yellow vibes to flow. But boy, one song I sing, one bell I ring. If we didn't know, we never know yellow would have treated us so. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain, you now refrain. They began with the blame game, giving NNP more fame. Past administration, the cause of frustration. Past administration, chief of corruption. Then to economic recession, we can't give you attention. Economic recession, the cause of poverty in the land. Economic recession, no employment for the ordinary man. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain, you now refrain. All your projects are stuck in a pipeline, but when asked, how is the country going? Oh, fine. We are looking into it. Never mind. Only projects in pipeline. No water to cool down the yellow temperature. When will they start? Please answer that. Oh, soon. Maybe by the next full moon. Although things are turning at a very slow pace, we now run no race. 5 years is a lot of space. It's just a few hungry people in a place and a few disgruntled green people with their vexed face. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain.
And a good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name, Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you until the 10 o'clock hour. It's now 4 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock on the Isle of Spice, where everything nice here. Let me reel that thing back from the beginning there. Yeah, we're just making sure that everybody's in, that you message your friends, you message your family, you let them know that Talking Points is on. Remember, we have our own website. That's www.talkingpointslive.com. We're also on YouTube. You just look for Talking Points Live on YouTube or Talking Points Grenada. It's going to point you towards that. And you can do the same thing on Facebook. You just look for Talking Points GND or Talking Points Grenada, and it's going to point you towards our page. So we are live and alive right now, and we're going to start the thing in a short while. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to speak about tonight. We have a lot of stuff to play tonight. We have a lot of stuff to say tonight. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So tell your friends, tell your family, even tell your enemies, because sometimes you have to educate your enemies into friends. You know what I mean? Yeah, sometimes somebody is your enemy, but you have to educate them to the point of where they become your friend. I've seen that in several instances. There are people who, they were on one side, I was on the other side, but you educated them to the point that they came over onto your side. So send it to your friends, send it to your family, and send it to your enemies as well. Send it to everybody. All right? As they say, tut mun bagay. Make sure everybody get it.
I don't owe no one, no obligation. No one owes me none, so everything is fine, fine. As I am that I am, I am, I am, I am. I am that I am, I am, I am, I am. I am that I am, I am, I am, I am. I am that I am, I am, I am, I am. Serious business. There is a time for everything, and for everything there is a season. So man and man must reason. So I think it's prime time that we address some more issues. Simple information I will use. No rocket science to get you confused. So relax your mind, make sure everything is fine, while I take you down a poetic line. Trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. You now refrain. I remember you saying.
Yeah, it's the 29th of the month. I wonder if some people get paid yet. By, I was hearing all kind of things yesterday. There were certain public workers that didn't receive their salaries yet. That's what I was hearing. Those of you who are public workers may be able to confirm or deny. But I've heard that there were some public workers who didn't receive their salary up to yesterday. Have you all received it today? I don't know.
Yellow, yellow all the way is what everybody say. Cell phone ring, man answering. Yellow, yellow.
So let me go down this list. Josette, good night to you. And Chloe Earl, Shemi, Jillian, Yvonne, Roses, McLean, Dennis, Gil, Desmond, Lorraine, Dexter, good night to each and every one of you. And let me see under the chat. Yeah. Lola B. Nice, yeah, you understand? Next thing I had to fix our glasses, but I find I'm starting to see kind of, you understand? Yeah. Maria, good night to you. Yeah, so good night to each and every one of you under that live. And then Pat James, Beavis, Kelvin, Dennis, Christine, Caitlin, Baby Daddy, Marilyn, Matthew, Devon. A special good night to each and every one of you folks. Remember to like and share. Like and share, yeah.
Cause we campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. You now refrain. They began with the blame game, giving NNP more fame. Past administration, the cause of frustration. Past administration, chief of corruption. Then to economic recession, we can't give you attention. Economic recession, the cause of poverty in the land.
Right, 9 minutes after 8, time for us to start the thing, eh?
Ordinary man.
And first tonight, I want to speak about the fact that today, Tuesday the 29th day of November, once again, we have had no post-cabinet press briefing. And let me double check my email because up to last night while doing the program, it's one of the things I was checking. And I didn't notice from the government anything saying that there was no post-cabinet press briefing. They're just not having any post-cabinet press briefings. And you see, some people may say, so what? Because that's what the rank and file sycophants, and when I say sycophants, you mean the people who follow a party without even thinking, the rank and file sycophants of the National Democratic Congress, that's what they would want you to think, that nothing is wrong with that. They don't have post-cabinet press briefing. That is nothing. So what? But I'll tell you this though. Post-cabinet press briefing is very important. The reason it's important is because you, the Grenadian people, receive a lot of information via the post-cabinet press briefing. The information that they give you via the post-cabinet press briefing tells you what your government has in store for you, what they have discussed in cabinet. Now, there are certain things that may be of national security importance that you can't go out there and say, because if you say it, you may be interfering with something legal that's taking place, or some investigation that's taking place, or some other thing that's taking place. So there are legal implications. Also, governments have arrangements with other governments and sometimes with other entities that they may not be able to speak about. So you can understand in that context. So I'm wondering if our government is having so much discussion in relation to signed agreements and secret agreements with other people that they can't even have a post-cabinet press briefing to talk about it. And I've known of the press secretaries from the days of Miss Nancy Maguire, lovely lady, beautiful lady, Miss Nancy Maguire. And I've interacted with Miss Nancy Maguire when I was a member of the Media Corps, when I was working with newspapers and television stations, radio stations, etc. I've done it all. I interacted with Miss Nancy Maguire. Never had a problem with Nancy. Always got information, always forthcoming. You remember she organized the face-to-face meetings and all those sort of things. Then after Nancy Maguire, Barry Collymore was the press secretary. Excellent. Did a lot of work putting out information on behalf of the government of Grenada, crafting the image of the government of Grenada. Excellent individual, worth every cent that was paid for him, and I don't think he was getting much anyway, as the press secretary. After him, you had Richard Simon under the NDC administration, and say what you want about Richard, he understands the media and he got a lot of information out. Some people during that period of time thought that he didn't get enough information out, but I believe that he got a lot of information out. After him, you had Miss Keisha Alexander Grant, and I mean, she's just excellence at all levels. After her, you had Philomena Robertson, again, excellent at all levels. And if you ask members of the media, in interacting with everybody since the days of Nancy Maguire, not too sure who was there before Nancy, I started back in the days of Nancy. So since the days of Nancy Maguire, coming up now to the individual that presently holds the position of press secretary, if they have ever had that amount of trouble to get any information out of a government, your messaging, WhatsApp messaging, the present individual that holds the office of press secretary, and disrespectfully, they're not even responding. And it's not just me saying that. Speak to the members of the media. But you see, it has some people in the media who they hold in the coattails of a specific political party, and now they're afraid to talk. But had this been done just a few months ago under the new National Party administration, it would have been a totally different kettle of fish. Would have been a totally different story had this, what is taking place now, taken place under the new National Party administration. Now we all know the new National Party ensured that on a weekly basis, the only time the NNP would not have a post-cabinet press briefing to inform the nation, their employers, of what they were doing, the only time they wouldn't have that is if they had a major activity like a national address or so that particular week. So you allowed the focus to be on the national address, or if there was some major activity that they had a press conference at another time and decided that no, we don't want to take any information away from that, so let's leave out the post-cabinet this week. But generally, on a weekly basis, you would have the post-cabinet press briefing. You would also receive notification, even if late at times, and I'll admit it was late at times, even if you received the notification of no post-cabinet press briefing this week, late, you still got a notice. But for the past 3 to 4 weeks, you have not even gotten a notice that there's no post-cabinet press briefing. You just tune in and there's nothing there. Unless they remove me from the mailing list, but my friends in the media can tell me. Because there is nothing coming out, at least to be respectful to the members of the media in Grenada and say, hey, we're not having a post-cabinet press briefing. Because it seems as though the only time that this administration could face the media and they could have a meeting like that is when the Prime Minister is available. And as long as the Prime Minister is out of the country, or he may be unavailable for 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, there seems to be no opportunity for us to have a post-cabinet press briefing. Because I'm asking the question, you're actually paying, as far as I'm hearing, and this could be confirmed, because it is alleged that this press secretary is being paid more than any other press secretary that we've had before. So you're speaking nearly the salary of a junior minister or a parliamentary secretary. You're speaking nearly that type of salary for this press secretary. But what are we seeing for this press secretary? You've had, the media have concerns in relation to various issues. I speak to people in the media all the time. And they have been sending, as had been requested by this government, they have been sending, and they have the evidence, so they can't say that I lie and they can't say that the media people lie. The evidence is here that they have been sending messages and they are being ignored. That they have been sending emails and they're being ignored. So what you have a press secretary for? But I don't blame the press secretary. I blame the supposed leadership. Because there is no way this kind of thing, and anybody that held the position of press secretary under Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell could tell you there is no way you could have been a press secretary and basically you ain't doing nothing. Because that is what is taking place now. You telling me you're paying a press secretary over $4,000 a month? I'm hearing it could be as over $5,000 and all. I'm hearing it's alleged that it could be over $5,000 a month to write 3 or 4 press releases and send out a week. Not even a day, you know. 3 and 4 press releases to send out a week. That's what you're paying a press secretary for? You're not even having proper engagements out there and that kind of thing? That's what you're paying a press secretary? More than the last press secretary was paid, for sure. And more than any press secretary before them. That's the kind of thing that we are accepting right now. Because remember, it was this Prime Minister that stood on the platform and said to you that the present Prime Minister at that time was not interacting with the media. It was he who was saying that the NNP was running from the media and wouldn't interact. My goodness. Well, I just get some news that here in the figure is double what I've been quoting. So that means that press secretary, it is alleged, is getting more money than a permanent secretary. Honorable Keisha Grant, if you're listening, I think you need to reapply. Because at least you would have do some work. Because I know that your desk was always filled. I know Barry Colomore's desk was always filled. I know Philomena Robertson's desk was always filled. Nancy Maguire's desk was always filled. But you telling me that you could be paying that, so nearly double what over double, it is alleged, what the last press secretary was receiving. And you can't even send out a decent message to the media fraternity in Grenada to tell them that you're not having a post-cabinet press briefing. 3 weeks. You have budget taking place next week. And up to this point in time, you can't come to the Grenadian people and tell them anything. And you telling me that that is correct and that is right? We supposed to accept that? I really can't believe. Listen, I'm going to call on the members of the House of Representatives on the New National Party side, as well as the members of the House of Representatives of the Senate on the New National Party side, to please pose a question in Parliament. I want to know the salary of the press secretary, because the press secretary ain't pressing. The press secretary ain't pressing and they ain't impressive. Something has to be definitely wrong. Matthew Bowen, good night, bro. Something definitely has to be wrong. How could we not be having a report? In other words, so nothing taking place in cabinet. So all you just go there, all you get some lunch catered and thing, all you sit down, all you old talk and all you leave. It have nothing to report from cabinet. So you can't come to the Grenadian people and say, well, the Molyneux project is going ahead as was planned before under the last administration, and this is what we're getting done. No. Instead of doing that, what you do, they run out, they take two pictures with a iPhone or something. They run out, they take two pictures, and they put it up, and they think that alone is PR. That is disrespect to the media, Grenada. You have a minister that left Grenada, a delegation of nearly 10 people leave Grenada, go all the way in Egypt, including the minister boyfriend. And they can't tell me a lie. Is the minister boyfriend? He go on the trip, but I want to say he qualified or he not qualified. There were 6 people more qualified in the field than him, and they joined virtually from Grenada. So you can't tell me that's right. But they went, okay, all well and good. Let's say he's qualified to go and he went. But they came back. And after they came back to Grenada, have you seen them on a post-cabinet press briefing say, well, we went to Egypt, we went to COP, and we were able to get this for Grenada. We were able to secure that for Grenada. We were able to secure the other for Grenada. And even if you didn't secure it fully yet, that you are in the process of putting together the proposal to send to the United Nations to get some of those billions of dollars that's sitting there for climate change. Billions of dollars sitting for climate change. And you have a Grenadian from the island of Carriacou who is in charge of that money. And you telling me that they would come back here and not be able to say to us, they can't come and sit down and face the media to answer some simple questions to say, well, okay, we went, this is what was discussed, we've built capacity in areas A, B, and C, we've built capacities in those areas, and these are some of the outcomes that we discussed. Grenada signed on to 1, 2, 3. Grenada signed on to that. We are now part of this, we are now part of that, and we're going to receive some funding to replant mangroves in this particular area, or in relation to solar power, we're going to receive some assistance so that we could help Grenlec to come off from using diesel, and that we're going to increase the capacity of that company in a partnership to use solar power or geothermal power, as there is a report saying that we have the capability of doing in Grenada, so that we could use geothermal and we could use solar power. No. The minister can't come and say that. Then why you had him as a minister for? Fire them. What they're doing as a minister, if you can't even put them in front of the media, look, you have the waste of time one that you have as the Minister of Youth and Sport. Waste of time. That individual, the Honorable Ron Redhead, is a waste of time. And the Prime Minister himself showed it. I don't have it tonight, but he showed it when they had the town hall meeting, that a question was asked. And the Prime Minister had to call on somebody that was sitting in the audience to answer the question. The person wasn't even sitting at the head table. You know? He had to call on somebody that was sitting in the audience to answer the question. A person who is not a member of cabinet, is not a member of the House of Representatives, not a member of the Senate. As far as I know, the individual is not employed by the government of Grenada. I know they sit on about 2 or 3 boards. They're on the NTRC board. I know they're on the tourism board, the tourism authority. I know they're on that board, and I think there's a third one that they're on. But that person is not a government minister, and you skip the minister and you're asking the person outside. And they refuse. Listen, have you seen the majority of ministers facing the press? I've seen Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph. I've seen Senator Jonathan Lacrette, Senator the Honorable Jonathan Lacrette. I've seen Senator Honorable Lennox Thomas. I've seen, who else have I seen? Just 1 or 2 of them. And the others, nothing. They don't see. In fact, the message that these individuals gave to the media was, we're going to talk to you all when we have something to report. So for the past 3 weeks, your government, your people that have taken $24,000 additional per man and woman a year, $24,000 per individual a year they have added on to their salary without even finishing their 3-month probationary period if you're in the public sector. These individuals, I would have said very learned, but I don't want to be taken to court for lying. So I would not do that. I won't call them intelligent. I won't call them learned. I won't say that they are very capable because I don't want nobody sue me, and all you know, I have a history of not being sued. So I don't want to be sued. So I would not accuse them of being competent, capable, or having leadership qualities. I want to be sued, so I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't accuse them of being that and having that. Ruth and Gloria, Gemma, good night. Londell, good night to you as well. And Michelle Alexander, good night. Folks, remember to like and share. Like and share. So I'm asking, how can we, it just shows the lack of leadership at the top. Who is the Minister of Information? Who is the Minister of Information? It's the Prime Minister. And you telling me you have a press secretary that basically receiving as much or more than a permanent secretary, than a person who runs a ministry, than a person that guides and directs and implements policy of the government in a ministry, that's the chief cook and bottle washer in a ministry, that this person is being paid for what? The looks. I ain't gonna say the bad looking, they're good looking, yeah, no problem with that. But that is what they're being paid for. We seriously have to have a discussion. And I'm really interested in hearing the budget presentation. Because after the budget presentation, you'll have the budget document, and then I'll be able to confirm how much the new press secretary is being paid. Not even a local village meeting, a face-to-face. Because under the NNP, you had face-to-face, and then you had all the other itinerations of it after that. Where your ministers and your prime ministers, the prime minister used to go out to different communities and interact with people and so on. That was organized by the press secretary. Where they would go into a community, not a one-off town hall here and a one-off town hall there, with a minister looking like if he just finished the last quarter of Rivers. Not that. Proper meeting where people were able to interact and so. And all of this was promised. Remember, all of this was promised. They said that's how the NNP was at war with the media. Well, who is at war with the media right now? Who is refusing to speak to the media right now? Who is ducking the media right now? And they're ducking the media. They're cussing the unions. Listen, take your one thumb and go, Serious, take your one thumb and go. Believe me, take your one thumb and go. Folks, we're going to open the phone lines early in a while. Yeah, not yet, but we're going to open the phone lines early in a while. But just for reference sake, remember to keep the numbers, write them down somewhere. 440-7377. That's the number for you to call directly if you're here in Grenada. And 347-329-3101. That's the number if you're out there in the diaspora, if you're in Canada or North America. And so you can use that number and call in. And for those of you on the outside, be careful. There's a bit of rain here and there. And I know some areas are looking most potholicious. And I'm giving Jackie Jacketa and Jane Shiblaus. I've been seeing the repairs here and there. But let me just say, there is one crater that has developed two basically on the Marasil. I went down into one today. I missed the other one by only the grace of God. So all you need to take a look at that because there's one around by Blue Danube there. Yeah. Just now a vehicle go missing and they go say it when last was seen going down into that hole. It's so big. All right, and there's another one going down by the Anglican High School. Yeah, like his father and son. That one following in the footsteps of the other one. So yeah, just looking out. Nice. So if you're driving, especially coming up Marasil, look out for those potholes. There's one after the Anglican High School. If you're coming up, just after the Anglican High School, there's a bad one there. And there's a massive one just as you're taking that corner going into Blue Danube there. Yeah, there's one real big one there. So make sure you miss that one. Saying a special good night to all of you listening via CRFM 89.5 community radio on your frequency modulated. Special good night to you, Quincy and Campesh.
Of life for all I've been living for. But you want a full singer?
Oh, you all know I'm gonna get it for going after the press secretary. You all know I'm gonna get it.
I may be guilty too. Send me, look me.
But you all also know me and Kay and me and Fred. Say what Madam Press Secretary is doing if she's receiving a salary of nearly $10,000, allegedly. Even if she's receiving a salary of $2,000, you're telling me that is the right 3 and 4 press. Listen, you could take anybody in GIS right now. There are people that are competent in GIS could write a press release and put it out. So you don't need a press secretary to just write press releases. There are many other duties that such an individual should be carrying out. And to not even have the will or the interest in engaging with the media to tell them, hey, we're not having postcard this week, but if you have some questions and you send it to me, I'll respond. Not a single media house in Grenada, none, could say that everything they have sent to that individual has been answered. It's like it gone into a vortex. As soon as it go, they just disappear. No response. It gone into a black hole. And you are paying for that, eh? Yeah, they like to talk about who paying for yeah. You are paying for that. But that is okay, you know, because it's happening on the NDC. Some of them saying, don't speak about the potholes, don't speak about the state of the roads, because all you didn't say nothing. Listen, anybody that listened to the program I was doing earlier this year and last year will know that I always reference the state of the roads. So it is not new, the state of the roads, and I'll say that, it's not new. But these are the same people that come in and say that they're fixing everything. They are the ones that say that's how they are God's gift to the Grenadian people. And they know how to fix everything. But I have a song to play for them. And let me play a little song for them.
Sometimes I sit and I ponder. I think about the future of the nation we call Grenada. I think about the youth, about the old and infirm, to tell the truth. All I see is shame, misery and pain. The inspiration that we need, we not getting it in the lead. Corruption and greed are the only ones to succeed. Shall we take the high road? Shall we take the low road? Right now there is no road, it is heavy road. Man, they have hole in the road, the road so hard. I go take some more, I go pack a hole. The economy gone overboard, some calling for burner code. People in the boat, they have no road.
Yeah, some of them ain't like the fact that I won't play that tune, you know. They'll say, well, I wasn't playing that tune a few months ago. Well, why I wasn't playing it a few months ago? Every time 2 drop of rainfall, you realize that there's a new pothole born every day. Yeah, and it's causing serious damage to people's vehicles. And as I said, anybody that listened to me a few months ago can verify that what I'm speaking about now is the same thing I was speaking about then. And let me say, at this point, it's 34 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, a special good night to the lovely island of Carriacou and also the island of Petite Martinique. Let me say a special good night to both islands. And let me ask a question here. I hear that all of a sudden, no flights again. Where the 19-seater gone? Because remember, you had a certain minister that come up and say that, oh, look, we were able to achieve it in days what the NNP couldn't achieve in years. We got a 19-seater plane to land. So forget the fact that it was the New National Party administration, both under the late Elvin Nimrod and Honorable Kindra Mathurin Stewart, that made several improvements to the air facility there, including making sure that there was a fire truck there. A brand new fire truck came up from Grenada and went there. Also making sure that they had the rescue boat, which was required under international standards, that they had the rescue boat and so on, and trained personnel there. Also, removing that fee. Remember when you're coming up from Carriacou, you started to find at $10, I believe it is, to pay. It was $10 that you had to pay and all of that thing, removing that. And several other things that were done to improve the facility. Also starting the negotiation with the carrier to ensure that we could have that 19-seater traveling between Grenada and Carriacou. And now, when it's coming up to Christmas time, when the majority of people want to leave the cold up in North America and in the UK, and also leave other Caribbean countries to go home to Carriacou for Parang, and I know it's a real Parang from here in today, I know it has some real drama in Parang, but go up for Parang and to spend time with their families, when you believe and you know that you will need that 19-seater plane, most of all of a sudden you're hearing no more bookings being taken. That the plane is being pulled from the route. But you had a minister jumping up and saying that it was he that do it. He that get it, so I hope he take the blame for it now too. Because it seems as though it was a short-term contract that was entered into in relation to having that plane. So all of a sudden now, people are left with only the option of taking the boat again. Because the plane, from the information I've been receiving today, has been pulled off the Carriacou route. But you don't hear in Minister the Honorable Tevin Andrews speaking again. All of a sudden he get quiet. He used to like to yap a lot. He was one of Tweedledee and Tweedledum that went on the radio station in Carriacou talking about who to go jail. Like he didn't even understand that ministers don't jail people. The DPP has the powers to decide if a case can be brought against an individual. The police can detain, they can charge. The file goes to the DPP. The DPP decides whether you proceed with a matter or whether you leave that out. And then you have the Integrity Commission, which you can bring. They have certain powers that you can bring and they can have a ruling in relation to certain matters. But government ministers, no Tweedledee and Tweedledum. You all can't decide who going to jail. In fact, by making that done statement, what you both have done is you have created a situation where anybody that's interfered with now can sue the government of Grenada for hundreds of thousands of dollars simply because of the done statement you all make. Because you all are political. You all are not part of the mechanism that deals with such things. And you all seem to be too, I don't want to accuse you all of being very intelligent. Because once again, I do not want to be taken to court for anything I say. I don't want to accuse you of something that you are not, so that you would have a case to say that I'm lying and I'm damaging your reputation. So I will not say that both of you are very intelligent. All I would say is Tweedledee and Tweedledum need to learn better. And then to put the Prime Minister in it by saying the Prime Minister go speak on that more. So then you had the situation where the Prime Minister jumps out and he come and he's speaking about, oh, Polish man, and who come with me. Talk about the Ukrainian. Like, let me have that conversation now. Talk about the Ukrainian. If you want to talk about campaign financing, and you want to talk about who is financing campaigns, and we want to have that discussion, then, my good friend, we need to open both doors, not one. Let some air pass through. Don't just look at the new National Party books. Let's look at your books. Because I find it strange that within days of coming to office, even before having a cabinet in place, that the restriction that was placed on individuals from Belarus, which is next to Russia and supportive of Russia in the present action in the Ukraine, Russia, who are the main antagonists in relation to what is taking place in Ukraine, and Ukraine itself, because you have some people who have Ukrainian citizenship that are being sanctioned because they are part of the atrocities that are taking place there on the Russian side and even on the Ukrainian government side. So you have some of these people that are being sanctioned. So Grenada, like other Caribbean territories, had put a stop to taking these people under the CBI program. Yet still, we saw a release coming out from the government of Grenada within days of the NDC swearing in their prime minister, but not swearing in their cabinet. So between the swearing in of the prime minister and before he has a cabinet to go and discuss that issue with, you see the CBI program announcing that they're taking people from these countries again. I wonder why. So let's talk about campaign financing and where money come from. We can have that discussion. All you going quiet on the issue now. All you ain't talking. All you want to go and have no meeting with the media. You don't want to go and sit down to the media and explain to them about this issue now and call names. Because we could call names too, you know. I could call names. I can call names. Am I afraid? I could call names. Because you see, they want to give the impression that they are so squeaky clean and everybody else dirty. Meanwhile, they bathe in real mud and then they put on clothes over that to hide the fact that their skin dirty. So when you hear them talking about these things, you realize they're gone quiet on that. You realize all of a sudden there is no talk again in relation to that issue. And don't try to feed us the nonsense about investigation taking place. Because, once again, and you're a lawyer, you know that you have jeopardized any investigation by going public with this and saying what you have said. And therefore, you have put the entire issue into a situation that there can be no fair arbitration in relation to that issue. Because how you came out with it. Even speaking about the FaHE program. You realize that they dropped the FaHE program now? All of a sudden they want to have those conversations again? No, we're having those conversations. Try and shut down the page again. Report the page tonight and report it in the morning again. Or come under the page as you normally do 2 and 3 in the morning and put up all sorts of nastiness. Do that. They don't want you to discuss that. Because they want you to believe that something was wrong with the FaHE program. They want you to believe that something was wrong there. But remember, the Grenada Union of Teachers said to the government of Grenada, no school reopening unless the terms and conditions that they put forward are adhered to. In other words, they said they want to have proper sanitization of the schools. And I have no problem with that because at the time, everybody was frightened in relation to this thing called COVID. So you were afraid that your child could catch it by going to school and interacting with other children, or that the teachers themselves were afraid that they could catch it, or even the auxiliary staff like the cooks and the security and etc., that they could contract COVID-19. And remember, COVID-19 in some cases is fatal. We know a lot of people who, they were looking normal and strong, they get COVID and that was it. Yeah? Some people was in the gym every week and all and they get COVID, that was it. So people were afraid. So the Grenada Union of Teachers said to the government, hey, unless you put these measures in place, school can't reopen. The FaHE program, which is a program that pre-existed COVID, is not something that was just put together for COVID. And they give the impression, oh, the only thing FaHE ever do is go and sanitize schools. That is not true. And they could go and check. Because we're talking about NGOs. We could have a conversation on NGOs too, you know. Because the majority of NGOs in Grenada are not adhering to the law. The majority. Because the law says that they're supposed to get all their financial information together and present it to, I believe it's GIFSA. That's the financial monitoring body for the government of Grenada. That they are supposed to get an auditor, put all their information together as into how much money came in and how the money was spent and so on, and present it to GIFSA. What the people that are making that noise and saying that the NGO did not do that, they're not telling you. Nearly no NGO on the island, probably only 2 out of the how many NGOs on the island have done that. And the reason being that they don't have the funds to do it. They are non-governmental or non-for-profit organization. So it is not a situation that they have the 10,000 or 15,000 or more that an auditor would take to come in and put their books in order to present a proper financial report to GIFSA. These are organizations that may go after a little 20,000 US grant to do a project. And when they do that, they have to report to the agency, whether it's USAID or whoever. They have to report to them on how they spend that money, and they do that. Because if they don't, they won't receive money under that sort of program again. And that goes for all the NGOs. So with that said, it is not a situation that they're making a profit or they have money set aside that they can go and hire an accountant to go and audit their books, put everything together, and present to GIFSA. That is definitely something that you have to look at in the law in relation to NGOs. Or at least provide the service to the NGOs so that they can be up to date with what the law states in relation to non-governmental, non-profit organizations here in Grenada. But to give the impression that the FaHE organization was some kind of crooked body, they had, at the beginning, over 500 people working with them. Because remember, you're speaking about sanitizing all of the preschools. You're speaking about sanitizing all of the secondary schools and the primary schools and other agencies like that. They also provided security services in some instances, and so then you had the people that had to monitor that the work is being done. So you had over 500. By the time it closed earlier this year, you had over 300, a little under 400 people under that program. The lowest paid employee, the lowest paid received a 800. That's the lowest paid. We're not talking about any other category. The lowest paid. So even if you calculate, let's stick it at 350. Even if you calculate 350 by 800, you see how much money had to be paid on a monthly basis. Multiply that by 12. You'd see how much had to be paid on a yearly basis. Multiply that by 2 years. And you would see where this figure, 6 million that the Prime Minister is speaking about, came from. But the Prime Minister, being a lawyer, accustomed to going in court and twisting words when they're ready for certain outcomes, came and he said, well, look, they give them $6 million and people start to ball, woo, $6 million, why? Why? But if you ask me, did they understand when he said $6 million, that $6 million wasn't money that was taken and put into somebody's pocket, as they want you to believe? It is money that was paying poor people, employing them to work in the various schools. And so, in fact, many of those people were called back after they got rid of FaHE. They called back some of the same people that was working under FaHE to do some of the same roles in schools around the island. And yet still, they know every month you pay the FaHE program. The FaHE program would then pay these individuals. So you're seeing where the money was going. Then they come and say, well, FaHE's supposed to have enough money to pay them people. We're not paying. They're not paying these poor people who are working for a local 800, a local 1,000. They refuse. This sitting Prime Minister refused to pay these people for work they have done, work they have completed. He refused to pay them, but he gave each of his ministers an additional $24,000 a year. They didn't want to hear that. But that's a fact because he's admitted it. And it's in the budget document for sure. And then they say, well, oh, the salary is too low and ministers have all this work to do. What work to do? Because you all are not reporting. You all not saying you're doing any work. You're all so busy. You're busy all the day long doing nothing. Busy all over the place. Then you have one particular minister, seem like the minister of everything. I don't know. They probably have a ministry of everything. Because you're listening to the radio, somebody call about health. You see one call, oh, we will talk to minister so-and-so. You have a problem with a road, minister so-and-so. You have a problem with a school or something, we will talk to minister so-and-so. So that is like the one minister that in everybody way. Everybody way. And you're rubbing some of them wrong, eh? In everybody way. Everybody way. But no, they don't want us to talk about that. They don't want the talking points on those things to come out. Folks, we're going to open the phone lines. It's now 10 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. And we are going to open the phone line. So 440-7377. And for the international phone line, it's 347-329-3101. We're going to open the phone lines right now, y'all. All I want to talk about, no, we mustn't talk about hole in the road. Nah. So, okay, Grenada is fixed now. No hole in the road. All right, nice. We can't talk about that all yet. Nah. Yeah, just receiving some information. The National Insurance Scheme has recorded an increase of 10.5 million in contributions last year when compared to 85.6 million received in 2020. And if the NIS is saying that they are receiving additional money, then what happens is it means that additional people are working. And we know that tens of millions of dollars came in via the CBI program last year. Okay, we have a call online. Let's go to the phone line.
Brother Sheldon, good night.
Hey, good night, Northwest. What's up?
Everything?
I'm good.
Yeah, Brother Sheldon, I don't focus on the pension. I don't give 7 facts about the pension. Okay? All right. He said before 1983, all government workers were entitled to a pension under the 1958 Law Act. Okay? You see, in 1983, the PRG government passed a law ending government pension and hand over the responsibility to NIS. Facts 2. Facts 3. You see, after 22nd February 1985, government had no obligation to pay pension. Facts 3. Facts 4. You see, the different government had an opportunity to amend the pension issue, but it was only NNP government that promised and delivered a reasonable solution. Fact 5. You see, recently the court ruled that the pension due to all pensionable workers should be paid according to the Pension Act of 1958. Fact 5. Fact 6. You see, although it had good ground to appeal, the government decided not to, but to pay those who qualified. In fact 7, in 2018, the NNP government paid out $7 million to 56 workers, public service workers. And Brother Sheldon, that shows that is a government that cares. And if the government, the appeal a case, that pension tax would have never be alive. Because the government see the need to not to appeal the case with Armstrong, and even the case again with the workers presently that receiving the pension, the government could appeal, but because this NMP is a government of care and love, and the importance of the NMP as a opposition in government to make sure every Ghanaian life develop, and not one sector of people. Because we are all Ghanaians, and everybody should, if we want to go forward, everybody should go forward. Not some staying back because of the injustices that are taking place with them. So, Brother Sheldon, have a blessed night. Thank you.
All right, Kola, thank you so very much. And let me say a special good night to Carl. I'm seeing Dr. Colette. I'm seeing Brenda. Brenda, yeah, come on, man. I see a crazy there. I mean, yeah, if a vehicle go down inside it, they have to get a record to take it out. And they say, don't talk about, well, I mean, don't talk about, all you fast, all you can't tell people what to talk about and what not to talk about. What happened? Yeah. 440-7377. Let me say a special good night to you, Miss Cammy. Mommy George, good night to you. Martin and Miss V, special good night. I'll forget all your boy number. I'll let you seen. And right after the hour, we're going to speak a lot more in relation to the pension issue, because they keep giving you the impression that the NNP had no intention of paying the pension. NNP wasn't going and pay the pension. Nonsense. You had 2 NDC governments before. The first one didn't bother with nothing with pension. The second one, Hermelin Armstrong brought her case under that government. That government didn't say, well, let's go to court and let's work it out and let's just... No. They presented a challenge to what she put in court. And they went to court with it. The NNP that came in and said, no, we're not going to challenge this thing. We're going to let it go through. We're not going to challenge this thing. And then made the first tranche of payments, $2 million, well, to the first set of workers. It was the new national... In fact, you know what? I'm telling you it. Let me put a hold to calls because I'm seeing the overseas line, but folks, you won't call back. I think it's important for me at this point in time to play first what Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell had to say on this issue of pension. And I'm going to play it. It's a little bit longish, but I want to play it because I want you all to understand what was taking place. And this is, remember, this is not the NNP speaking now. This is the NNP speaking before elections. And that's why I said the good thing is that the new National Party does not have to change their narrative. Good night, Kalistra. The new National Party does not have to change their narrative in relation to this issue. Not a word has changed. What they have been saying before is what they're saying now. And the intention was to pay the pension. And that was very clear. But once again, they want to give you the impression. I listen to nonsense that they are playing on radio day about, a lot of money circulating because we pay the pension and all that kind of thing. No, you ain't pay the pension. We, the Grenadian people, pay the pension, and we have to find now additional $500,000 every month to continue paying the pension. But anyway, let me let Dr. Mitchell speak to you all. And then we're going to play right after that. We're going to play what Honorable Senator, the Honorable Claudia Joseph said.
And in particular, this pension issue presents another defining moment in our history that we as a nation must face together. Sisters and brothers, we meet this moment by not being consumed with old suspicions, nor by distrust, by looking at personalities, but by a national discourse befitting of the creation of a society worthy of the inheritance of our children and grandchildren. This recent High Court decision, whatever we may think about it, of reinstating public sector pension scheme and rules, creates a very large financial pension obligation which is additional to pension expenditures of the National Insurance Scheme. And remember, all of us must remember, government, like all other employers, is responsible for paying 6% already of employee earnings as part of their monthly contributions to the NIS. The 2022 fiscal impact is estimated of that decision at between 2.2 and 7.9% of GDP, largely dependent, sisters and brothers, of how current employees who already meet the reinstated scheme eligibility conditions, how they react to the court ruling. In recent past, government, your government, attempted to address public employees' dissatisfaction through legal amendments and agreements with your trade union brothers and sisters. In response to the demands to reduce the large difference between the NIS and public sector pensions, government signed in 2018 a memorandum of understanding with the trade unions, granting a top-up to a limited group of people. Eligibility was conditioned on 26 years and 8 months of service or more, retiring at the age of 60. The top-up was equal to the difference between the NIS pension and 70% of the retiree's final salary. That was how we agreed. The government also introduced in 2003 a special pension act for people who were hired prior to 1985 and who by virtue of their employment status did not qualify for a public sector pension. Although this act was not considered by the High Court judge, it's important to note this, its constitutionality may now need to be considered. The recent court ruling declared the closure of public sector pension schemes unconstitutional, retroactively establishing pension entitlements for public employees who entered the service after 1985. That ruling, sisters and brothers, implies that pension benefits would become payable to public employers who were hired after 1985 and not solely NIS pension, not only solely on NIS pension benefits. The payment implications of that ruling comprise: 1, pension to people hired after 1985 and retired before the date of the ruling for the period between the date of retirement and the implementation of the ruling. 2, future pension to people hired after 1985 and retired before the date of the ruling for the period after implementation of the ruling until the beneficiary's death. Thirdly, current people who will now retire from the public service. And fourthly, pension for people who will be hired after the date of the ruling. While that ruling only focused on the constitutionality of certain features of that pension act governing public sector pensions, it is nevertheless creating a pension system which differs considerably from what was envisioned by both the 1983 reform and its revisions in the past 30 years.
Now, I thought it important for you to hear that. Now, that's Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell speaking long before the election. Long before the election. In fact, people thought he was going to announce the election date that night. A lot of people tuned in and they ran down there thinking that he's going to call the election date. But he was addressing the pension issue. I'm trying to get the exact date. Yeah? Young lady, see if you could get that to me, please. The date. Young lady, please. The date for when that meeting took place. Now, that was the former Prime Minister speaking about the pension issue. At the point in time, you had all those sycophants of the National Democratic Congress and all of them, some of them who are now sitting in Parliament, who was saying, we don't care, just find the money and pay. Just find the money. We don't care where you find it, just find the money and pay. But you're not only speaking about, as he spoke about there, not just a one-off payment, you know. You're also speaking about the continuous payments, because now you're adding these people to the scroll of people that have to be paid pensions. So as you add them to the scroll, it means therefore on a monthly basis that these individuals have to be paid their pension. Even though they may be collecting the NIS pension, they also have to collect under the 1958 pension. And here's what. Because they keep talking about the NIS like the NIS was bad. No, the NIS was a good and remains an excellent idea, because what the NIS does is that you pay your little percentage into the NIS, the employer pays the other percentage. The NIS takes that now and they take everybody own, they put it together, excuse me, they put it together and they take that money and they invest it. So they double and triple and quadruple your money. And in the interim, other people who are just entering into the workforce and so, they may have sick benefits, they may have injury, different things like that. They also offer loans. Yes, the NIS does offer loans. If you want to build a house or you want to purchase a vehicle and so on, you can get that loan from the National Insurance Scheme. So there are many things that money goes towards. So some people try to give the impression that what the NIS is and what the NIS became is wrong. No. It's a good idea. So they purchase like different governments float treasury bills and so on around the Caribbean. They would purchase it because they know that the returns on that are significant. So they take a 10 million and they put it out, and when they get back the 10, they gain back the 10 million, and they might get a further 5 on top of that, or a further 7 on top of that, or whatever, according to the rate that the bills are going at. So that's what they take the money and they do out there, and then they have that money available for workers. So many people go to the banks or the credit union, but there is also the opportunity through the NIS to get your mortgage and to go there. You're looking to build a house or you're looking to buy a vehicle and so on. You can also do that through the NIS. But some people try to give the impression that the revolution was crazy, what it was doing. No, the revolution saw that the size of the public service was increasing. And therefore, if you continue with the 1958 Act, you will get to a situation when you have a significant number of people in the public service retiring, or under the 1958 Act, the person doesn't have to reach the age of retirement, they just have to complete the period of service in the government of Grenada. Then that person can then resign and receive their gratuity and so. So the revolution looked at that, they saw that, and they said, no, but we can't continue with that model, because if we continue with that model, somewhere down the road, we're going to end up breaking the economy of Grenada. And that's why they put the NIS in place. So it's not that the NIS is a bad thing, the NIS is a good thing, it's the better model. But the courts have said that, look, if you had something that was giving you $300 before, and you're working in a place that they can't come and change the law and say we're giving you 200 instead, that you have to continue with the proper one. Anybody coming afterwards, you could put them under the 200, but who was there before have to get the 300. That's simply what the law, in simplest terms, that's what the courts decided in relation to this issue. And it's not a situation where the New National Party did not want to pay pensions. As I stated before, it was the NNP that started the process by ensuring that they had the special pensions that was put in place. And that was able to encapsulate a lot of people who, according to the 1958 Act, were not qualified. That you could qualify them under the special pensions. But the NDC want to talk about what them do in relation to pension. All that the NDC had to do when they come in is there was already a secretariat. So they just had to help the secretariat, tell people go in, as the NNP was doing before, go in, bring your information so that you could receive your pension. That is all that they had to do. You had situations with a lot of people during Hurricane Ivan, they lost a lot of documents and so they were unable to bring in their documents before. Some had to go and they had to do search to try and find documents when they were employed and that kind of thing. But they tried to give the impression NNP didn't want to pay. Nonsense. What are giving all the additional $24,000 a year for, really? Not trying to understand. But let's listen to Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph before we start taking the calls again. I do see the phone line ringing, but give us a couple minutes again. Let's listen to Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph and tell me what different is she saying to what Dr. Mitchell just said in what you listen to.
That said, we also raised the issue of contract work and how unfair contract work is, whether it's taking place in the public sector or the private sector, and the need to regularize as much as we can contract workers. But let's be straight. We're going to be straight with the nation. Contract work and pension reform must go together. Because we commit to pay the retroactive pension, and we are doing so. We understand the import of the ruling of the court. But so as not to do severe damage, perhaps even irreparable damage to our economy in the long run, we must work out a pension plan going forward that's sustainable. Because as it stands now, when people retire, they are entitled to NIS, that's public servants I mean, they are entitled to NIS plus government pension, and government pension is a non-contributory pension, which means the government alone pays everything into the pension fund, plus under the NIS law, the government pays 6% into the NIS, into the National Insurance Fund. So going forward, that will be a really hefty sum that the IMF and everybody else have already warned is not sustainable going forward as it is. Plus, if we regularize contract workers across the board without at the same time treating with pension reform, what do? We bloat the public service. We expand the public service, and in so doing, the amount of people who would be eligible for pension. So we call on our friends in the labor movement to sit with us and work out an acceptable mode going forward, where everyone will be happy, where we will not leave an unbearable financial burden for those who come after us, and where those who retire going forward will not have to retire into poverty. So I look forward to Mr. President, my learned friend, and his colleagues in the union. When I say Mr. President, I mean Mr. President of the GTUC, Madam President, and his colleagues in the union, working with us to come up with a solution that the workers will be happy with, that the government coffers will be happy with, and that the people of Grenada in general will be happy with. And that.
Tell me how that is different from what Dr. Mitchell was saying. But when Dr. Mitchell was saying it, these are the same people that were telling the unions, don't go and meet with him, that there is a court judgment that says you all have to be paid, just get paid. Don't go and sit with him. To the point where the unions did not show up, that there was a meeting. I think the prisons union, the workers, the prison officers union, the police officers union, I think they were two, and I think there was one other union that came and met with government to discuss this issue of pensions. But the main ones, like the public workers union, the GUT and so, they stayed away. They refused to come and discuss the issue of pensions. They refuse. Don't take my word for it. I mean, listen. She's
we
asking,
can only have the best.
She's asking the unions to come and meet, but listen what was happening, because there were political forces telling the unions, don't go and meet with the new National Party administration. Don't speak with them. The courts already ruled on it, so don't meet with them.
Being engaged. Because this is not about just the public workers. It's about all the citizens of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. The government obviously must lead on this matter. Have no choice. But it puts a reasonable final solution in doubt unless we purposely engage all stakeholders. And that we have begun to do. We have begun dialogue with our social partners. We've spoken to churches, some NGOs, the business community, social organizations, and trade unions. And the first meeting with the trade unions body as a whole, not just a limited group, was scheduled for last Friday. Unfortunately, for whatever reason unknown to me, there was a decision taken by the major unions not to attend the meeting and participate in the discussions that involve the peace and stability of our beautiful country. Fellow Grenadians, Caraconians, PT Martinicans, I stand here tonight still hopeful that this broader dialogue will get started in the interest of public officers who have already retired and those whom retirement is likely soon. We understand that the leadership of some of the trade unions has some lingering concerns, and that's okay. I have concerns too. But we are determined to engage them in a meaningful way and to consider their input as we chart the way forward. Sisters and brothers, our society will be better off if dialogue continues. We remain hopeful that the Grenada Union of Teachers, the Public Workers Union, that's the leadership I'm talking about, and the Technical and Allied Workers Union will join this broadening and urgent national discussion on the single most defining issue of our time.
So tell me, what's the difference between what Dr. Mitchell has been saying? And you see, that's why I keep saying the narrative does not have to change what the New National Party was saying before, and what the New National Party is saying now does not have to change. And that's why, friends, on Monday, the Parliament will be held, and you'll be having the budget presentation. That's going to be taking place on Monday. All right? So we all will be listening. Now, I ain't think I'm broadcasting that. That's their business. Let them broadcast that. So the budget presentation, I'm serious, I ain't think I'm broadcasting that. The budget presentation will be taking place on Monday, and you all can tune in to the various means and so to hear what is being said and what is being put forward to take Grenada, as they say, what is it? Take Grenada forward? I know if it's forward up to Karaku, so we do have to take boat again, we could finally build the bridge. But anyhow, take Grenada forward. That is what they say. Right. So, after that, on Thursday of next week, not on Tuesday, on Thursday of next week, Parliament will reconvene for the sitting of the House of Representatives for the debate on the budget that was delivered on Monday. So, you're going to be having Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, former Prime Minister and leader of His Majesty's opposition, who is going to be speaking for the first time in Parliament in opposition. Because remember, you had the opening of Parliament, and then you had a Parliament sitting after that. You had one Parliament sitting after that Dr. Mitchell was not able to attend because he had another matter he had to address that he could not attend. So you'll be hearing him speaking next week, Thursday. All right? So we will be broadcasting that, I can assure you. And you'll be hearing from the other members of the New National Party team as well, as they dissect and make their contributions on the budget as presented next Monday. All right? So I am looking forward, not to Monday as such, I'm looking more forward to Thursday. Yeah, I really want to hear on Thursday what is being said. That is when you're going to see school in session. Class going to be in session on Thursday. All right? I wish it was a university class, but with what you have on the other side, that more look like preschool. Anyhow, folks, 4407377. That's the number for you to call and get onto the inside. And, of course, for those of you out in the Grenadian diaspora, again, 347-329-3101 for you to get onto the inside. Landon Jane, hey, yeah, good night to you. And Keisha Walcott, good night to you as well. Yeah, the same thing. You hear them coming back and saying, no, when Dr. Mitchell was saying it when he was Prime Minister, they had the worst to say, oh, the unions must never sit down with him. Why they must go and sit down with him? Let me see if them hypocrite union go in and sit down with the government now. And let me see the excuse as to why it was not okay to sit down with the prior government to discuss this issue that could have been resolved by now. And why it's okay to go and sit with the present government, because they said there was a court judge, there was a judgment in the court and there was no reason to go and sit with the government. All you care about is pay. That's what they were saying. Am I lying? Am I not speaking the truth? That is what they were saying. They were saying there's a court judgment. Just pay the money. We don't want to have no discussion. We don't want to hear nothing. Just pay the money. So he was having the meetings. The unions don't show up. Yeah? But now, you hear Senator Claudette saying, come and meet. But remember, it's the same unions they're cussing too. Because when PW Union President Brian Grimes came out and say, all you're wrong to be firing people helter-skelter in Carriacou, they cuss him. Why is now he talking and he only have a voice now and he talking? They cuss Brian Grimes from the highest amount St. Catherine to the depths of the valleys. They cuss him out. Don't talk about Daisy Hazard. She get left, right, center, inside, outside kitchen cook. And they still cussing her. And Daisy gave Jackie jacket and Daisy her blouse has not changed her narrative. In the last couple of years, what you heard Daisy Hazard saying 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago is the same thing you're hearing Daisy Hazard say now. The problem for the NDCites is that their government is in power now. So they don't want her to be saying that. Even though they are doing worse than what they accuse the New National Party are doing. You telling me you have all these workers that was under the FaHE program that the present administration is refusing to pay. Don't come and make it look like FaHE didn't pay them. FaHE is a non-profit. So when you pay the money to FaHE, the money wasn't staying with FaHE. They were putting it back to these people. You refuse to pay the money for the 2 months or 3 months in some instances. You refuse to pay that money. And now these people have ended up in a situation that they are owed. But they're not owed by FaHE. Indirectly, they're owed by you. But you're wicked. So you refuse to pay them people their money. And yet still, you found it necessary to give each of your people $24,000 additional a year. And that is okay. Yeah? Yes, Damien, I'm seeing your message. Daisy and Grimes, yeah. But no, Daisy and Grimes are the ones that being attacked the most. Well, no, right now they move on to Andre. Senator Andre Lewis. They've moved on to Comrade Lewis now. So he's persona non grata. When there was a strike on the port around Christmas time last year, that was their friend. They was high in praise. They vexed when strike end. That strike should go longer. When they had strike earlier this year when the workers walk off the port, Senator Andre Lewis was their friend. When they had another strike before election on the port again, because there were 3 in the last year. 3. Before this one that happened last week before when? 3. And then when that happened now, they come and they're attacking Senator Lewis. Oh, the wicked and wildcat strike. All you didn't know wildcat strike. The court ruled on wildcat strike, you know. The courts have ruled in relation to the issue of wildcat strike. Are you talking about wildcat strike here? the courts rule. All you now know. So now, Grimes, Daisy, and Andre blows for so. But you know what? You ain't hearing the guy in the teachers union. All he doing is coming out and saying nice things, platitudes, nice things, platitudes. Let me ask him a question now. Bro, how much teachers have they hired in the new school term? How many that were on temporary have you, as leader of the teachers union, been able to get fully into the public service? Because they said to you and to the teachers and to all of us in this nation we call Grenada, they said to all of us that they would not have these individuals on contract, but that they are providing a service and they should be fully into the teaching service. They should be fully on government payroll. That's what they said. Folks, the phone, sorry, I forgot to mention, the phone lines are open, 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Yeah, they are open. So they were the ones that were saying, yeah, they were the ones that were saying all of these things. So before election, you have one narrative. After election now, how many? Let me hear Teacher Jude. Teacher Jude, they say you're rude, but let me hear you. I find you're gone quiet, man. You're gone silent. You're only there to praise. That is what unions does do to government. Praise. Brian Grimes, I see you praising the other day they pay the pension. What we expected them to do? Not pay the pension? Any government could have not paid the pension. The NNP had to pay it. The NDC have to pay it. No government had a choice. If Winty was to come back alive and the party, the Winnie had to pay it too. And he would have paid. Because the new National Party left the money there to pay it and left the infrastructure that could have been utilized by the NDC when they came in to ensure that it was paid. The first interview the Prime Minister did with Kalisha Faria on the narrative, he stated clearly that he met enough money there. Because before the election, he was speaking about, oh, we could go and take a loan and so to go and pay the pensions. But we're going to pay the pensions. Then when he got in, the first thing he said, no, I'm satisfied. Let's have enough money there to pay the pensions. So that you had the pensions being paid. Yeah? But Teacher Jude, all of a sudden gone quiet. Teacher Jude, seriously, are you, and I've seen somebody saying it here, let me ask you a question. Teacher Jude, are you in the pocket of the NDC? Are you in the pocket of the NDC? Are you looking after the interests of the teachers, or are you looking after the interests of, quote unquote, allegedly your political party? Because that's what it seemed like to a lot of us out here, brother. We watching you. I had my issues with LL. But one thing you could say about LL though, I know for a fact he get a lot of people permanent. People who are working right now and working towards their pension, that LL, Lloyd and Lewis, as leader of the teacher union, got permanent for. But I ain't hearing about you. How much you get permanent? How much? You ain't hearing your brother. Talk and say that? Or do we still have a situation where those teachers are still not regularized? Yeah? All of a sudden you get quiet on those issues. The other union leaders who are being attacked, they continue to say what they were saying before, they're saying it now. Some of them played a role in the politics thing too, and I ain't washing my hand and saying some of them wasn't playing the politics. Yeah, I ain't washing my hand and say they was not. Because I believe they were. But give them their props. They continue with the same narrative. But Teacher Jude gone silent. While Deacon in the garden hiding. No press conference. Yeah? You can't even find out what's the salary of the press secretary. Or, remember, he also has an executive secretary. So the Prime Minister of Grenada now also has an executive secretary. And I want to know what their salary is and what their roles are. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, if you have not yet posed that question, please pose that question on my behalf in Parliament. I want to know what the salary and B, roles of both the press secretary and the executive secretary are. Because if you're telling me that the Grenadian people have to pay $120,000 a year to the press secretary, I'm very interested in knowing what for. We have a caller online. Good night.
Hello, good night.
Good night. How are you?
I'm good. And how are you?
I'm always fine.
Yeah. I just called in to make a comment. My phone just clicked up with Ken Jones' program the other day, and I make a comment about the money. Somebody will comment and say, yes, so and so must be the NMP dons. The money belongs to we. I just make a comment that they need the money there, so they must had to pay it, It's not NDC who raised it. It was there when NNP was there, so they had the money to pay. So it's not NDC who raised the money to pay, And the person takes back that it must be NNP done, So like, because you make a bad thing about that, you are done,
My friend, that's the problem. You see, there is this way that they operate, like, in Haiti, they had the Tuntun Makut. And if you say anything against Papa Doc, the Tuntun Makut used to come and his cutlass in your tail. They killing, they raping, they robbing, they doing all kind of things once you go against their leader. Right now, that is what the NDC is doing. The moment you speak against them, or you're done, or you only could talk now.
Yeah, because, from ever since I said that Grenadian had made a big mistake, and we had do it in 2008, and we come back again and do it in 2020 too. So I just can't understand, because I listen to all the meetings they have, and only person who's speaking is the Prime Minister. In the campaign was only the Prime Minister. In now he's in power, and everything is the Prime Minister who's saying everything. You're not hearing anything from the representative from the other constituency. You're not hearing anything about few. From the south you might hear something now and then, and you're not hearing anything. So I want to go on. If this party is a one-man party, if they can't speak for themselves, they have to wait for the Prime Minister before they speak or something. I don't know what is going on.
It shows the level of incompetence. It just shows. I mean, look, you had Minister Ron Redhead was asked a question at the town hall meeting, and then they had to ask Orlando Romaine to answer. Orlando Romaine is not a part of, as far as I know, maybe he under some part of some ministry or something, but as far as I know, he's not. And he was called to answer the question. In fact, one of the questions they had to call him from outside to come inside to answer. And you have the minister sitting right there. Then what is a minister for?
When I saw that, I was so shocked. I said, "My God, this is such an embarrassing situation."
I could tell you something. If a question came in relation to youth, I was a parliamentary secretary, and a question came, Dr. Mitchell would allow me to answer the question.
That's right, because he gives people chance to do things.
So I can't understand how you have a person that you appointed as a minister and you don't have the confidence in them to answer a simple question. Well, if you don't have the confidence in them to answer a question, how they could run a ministry?
That's it. And they said in the campaign that they will, for the first month, they will be doing, going around in constituency. Every month they will be going around in constituency. Nobody can see nobody now. Nobody can see, because I was talking to a lady today, and she said she sent and called the South Minister, and they give her a number to call in, answering that phone at all.
Well, the thing is, I see they're putting all things now, asking for people, if you're looking for a job, to contact Minister A, or if you're looking for a job, contact Minister B. So it seems as though what we hire is a bunch of people who have become an employment agency. Well, they did say they turned the Ministry of Youth into an employment agency. Employment agencies don't pay you. Employment agencies find a job for you. And you usually pay the employment agency a finder's fee.
That's it, I know that.
But that's what they say they turned the Ministry of Youth into. So let's hear the budget on Monday.
Yes, I'm tuning in.
All right, my dear.
You know.
Where are you calling
outside
from?
Island, I'm from Grenada, but I'm outside Grenada right now.
Okay.
You know me. You know me.
All right.
You know me. We talk about 2 weeks ago.
I find the voice sounding very familiar. That's why I'm asking where you're from,
Yes.
you know.
You know
As
me.
in where you're
You know
located now.
I'm located in New York now.
Okay.
Just for a vacation.
All right, my dear. Well, we'll see soon again. Thank you very much for your
Yes.
call. All right, have a good night.
Okay, take care. Bye. Bye.
Yes, indeed, folks. The phone lines are open. Let me just clear the line. Yeah, the phone lines are open. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers you must call. All right, nice. Yeah. So, Teacher Jude Quiet, the press secretary in prison, neither is she secretarian, right? The executive secretary being a little more executive and less secretary. Because I hear anything, I ain't feel like talking that one tonight. Sometime you have to leave something for tomorrow night. Let's discuss the executive secretary tomorrow night. We ain't discussing that one tonight. We're going to discuss the executive secretary tomorrow night, right? Nice, good, yeah. Because I know when Dr. Mitchell had a press secretary was a person that carried out various roles within their portfolio. Yeah? And there was information coming out. And if you ask for information, they could provide information to you and they wouldn't ignore you and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so a lot of information was coming out. But folks, and every night I'm going to mention it, And Honorable Emlyn Pear, good night. Or Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis. Whichever one of you, Honorable Peter, well, let me ask. Honorable Peter David. I know you're a man and go afraid to ask them. Well, none of you all go afraid. Yeah? Honorable Delma Thomas, Dr. Clarice Modest Cohen, any one of you all. I think I want the doctor to ask this question. Ask them what really went on the port now. Find out from them what went on the port. They won't be talking about that. They keep hoping that we would drop the issue, Raise it in Parliament. I want to know what went on the Port Authority. $12,000 in relation to exit passes. That's the pass. The price of the pass. So $12,000 in exit passes were given out. But that's not the only issue. How many tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in goods left the port without being properly accounted for and paid for? How many? As I keep telling that young lady who's involved in this thing, here, let me give you some advice, My dear, careful where you eat and who you eat from. Careful where you drink and who you drink from. And here's the third part. Expose all of them. You ever hear ton pamasa? You better ton pamasa. Talk before they take you down. Because they're going to take the time. That's what they're doing. They're trying to cover up right now. And then they will come back around and stick you and you alone. That's what they're going to do you. They're going to come back wrong. Anybody that knows her, speak to her now. Because they're going to come back wrong and stick you and you alone. Don't take your debt as no sheep. Don't let nobody curry you. Come out and talk. Say who is involved. It is alleged that a certain government minister, a certain sitting government minister, part of this government, is one of the people involved in this whole debacle that take place on the port. So young lady, either come out and tell us is true or come out and tell us is not true. I'm saying what is being alleged out there. Because they like to call people cat. They have a whole minister who's a Cheshire cat. Ask Flamboyant if they was still around. They have a whole minister who's a Cheshire cat, but they like to call people cat. Natalia, we not giving too much advice. One Grenada, that's why I said do a port up in St. Patrick and let me ease up the road and thing, you understand? Nice. Londell. Errol and Marilyn, yeah, seeing you. Good night to you. And Andrews. Yeah, they're having 400 dinner gala. So you can't see your prime minister You can't see a prime minister on postcab. And when you do have postcab, it's only he is seeing because he entrusts the other ministers to come out and talk. Especially if you have somebody like the Honorable Ron Redhead coming out and saying all kind of weird thing, announcing holiday that announcing holiday. Fully stand up in front of everybody and announce a holiday. We having this holiday. And then when the time come, saying that, oh no, that is not what I really said. No, that is exactly what you said. We're going to play it tomorrow night. We ain't have enough time to play it tonight. We're going to play it tomorrow night. That's exactly, and too late to take it down. I tape it already. They can take down wherever they want and I have all already. And all they can access my hard drives. I ain't stupid. So I have everything. And according to Kelvin, you all afraid to talk because all you're afraid that we're going to take it and throw it back at you all? No, then talk sense. If you come out and you're talking the truth and you're talking sense, there's nothing that we could throw back at you. Because you would be speaking the truth and you would be making sense. But if you're coming out with the intention of lying, or you're coming out talking nonsense to other people, don't talking nonsense to us. Yeah, we go give some blows on that. All right? Nice. Folks, we're going to take a short break. And we're going to be right back. And all you know the song I'll play. No, we're not taking a short break. I like to play this one in particular. Kelvin, they could run, but they can't hide, because we will be recording everything they say next week as well. They like to record us. I know there are particular individuals recording what I say tonight. That is not a problem. If they want a copy of the recording, they could find me at sheldonscott@live.com and I'll present them with a copy. I have no problem with that. Yeah, please note it's not the transformation water, just making sure you all know, yeah?
Just like him, but be not afraid, for will come suddenly. Listen, just as the longest road comes to a bend, so do the evil works of evil men bound to soon to come to an end. I sing.
Let me just make sure you all know, Anytime they think that they are wrong for long, know that they've already spent 159 days out of what they had. That is 159 days less. 22 weeks and 5 days, 5 months and 6 days less of the NDC that Grenada has to go through.
Devil takes over their kingdom, they would kneel if they feel that they could cross a deal. But woe comes swiftly, man. Woe comes quickly, yeah. Now workers want to please their employers and their bosses by victimizing their neighbor because today their party is in power. I see, but they know what they do is wrong, and it's weighing their conscience down because all men know that no man knows the hour. Man, but be not afraid, for there is your enemy. A man afraid to speak of what oppresses him, enslave himself to a man just like him.
Yes, 159 days down. That's 159 days less of the NDC. Yeah? That's why I just look at things and people worrying and all that thing. 159 days gone already. Yeah? And in that 159 days, what they do? They take they take a $2,000 well, $24,000 a year raise for themselves. Let me see. They've been threatening people in the public service. Yeah, people frightened in the public service right now. I've worked in the public service. Not only as Senator Scott, and I worked in the public service before. And they have sent people home and threatening people right now. You have people that monitoring people Facebook to see if this person had gone to an NNP rally or if this person is friends with this person and so on. People are afraid to be friends with you because they could lose their job. Or they're afraid to talk to you because they could lose their job. Creating a state of fear within our country. They and all the Tun Makut cyber warriors that they have out there. The Tun Makut cyber warriors. That's what they have. So the moment you say something and you sound a bit intelligent with what you're saying, they come to attack you. They're attacking you, you know. They're calling people dunce. They cannot discuss the issue at hand. So they don't discuss the issue, they discuss the person who is speaking. And that's to show you that they are in fact the ones who are dense and dunce. Because if you understand the issue, you could go and you could speak on the issue and you could say different things and you could have a back and forth debate on the issue. Either you come out on top or you ain't come out at all or whatever. But when it's a situation that you have to start attacking the person that's speaking, it means that you don't understand the issue. And right now, as we're on talking points, I'm saying one of the talking points is the glaring lack of leadership in our country. No press secretary is supposed to do what is taking place right now, and the Minister of Information don't pull them up. When I was Minister of Information, them kind of thing couldn't take place. When the Honorable Emlyn Pear was Minister of Information, or Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell was Minister of Information, or Senator the Honorable Winston Gary was Minister of Information, them kind of nonsense couldn't take place. But now, the allegation is, and tell us if we're wrong, tell us if we're wrong. And if you're telling us that is the salary, you have to explain to us how you reach out a salary of that for a press secretary. And I'm hearing some kind of figures for the executive secretary, and I'm really interested in finding out about that one as well. We have a call online. Good night.
Hi.
Hi, good night. Go right ahead, caller. You are live. Hello? Okay, caller, when you call, you have to pay attention to the phone line. If you're trying to listen to your radio or laptop or computer or other device and have that conversation with us, you won't be able to do it because it will be delayed. Yeah, so try and call and then speak to us on the phone line. So listen to us when you call, listen for us to answer on the phone line, and then let's have that conversation there. But you know, there's something I was listening to the other night and I found it very interesting. Let me play this for you and ask you what you pick up from. This was the Prime Minister, one of his first interviews, or the first interview. I think that was about the 2nd or 3rd, somewhere July, I believe, early in July. Let's hear what he had to say here. Oh dear, let me just stop the other thing in the background and make sure that you can hear what the Prime Minister is saying here. Nice. So let's just hear what he has to say here.
So these are just some of the examples. The Postal Corporation is another example. It's an entity that has become shrouded in mystery. It's the only way I could put it. You know, at one time I heard it was being sold. Grenadian still asks who owns it. I think a lot of the workers at the Postal Corporation themselves are completely at a loss as to, is it a statutory body or not? Who owns it? Who doesn't own it? So some of those entities we clearly will have to look at extensively and thoroughly with a view to revamping, revitalizing, and maybe in some instances commercializing to make sure that they're successful.
I hope you all in particular heard the end part of what he was saying. All right, so let's listen again, and let me just see if I
clearly
can...
will have to look at extensively and thoroughly with a view to revamping, revitalizing, and maybe in some instances commercializing to make sure that they're successful.
What the Prime Minister was saying there, that their intention is to commercialize some of the statutory bodies, and that would be things like Marketing Board. The same Grenada Postal Corporation, it's 159 days now, they're supposed to be able to tell you who really owns the Grenada Postal Corporation, ain't it? I see they have a board of directors. I think they put Rondall over there in some capacity or the other. Yeah? So I think at this point in time, they should be able to tell you all who really owns the Grenada Postal Corporation. They ain't supposed to have to hide. Yeah? They could have cleared that up 159 days. You could have cleared that up by now. But the most serious part there is where they're speaking about commercialization. These are the same people that were saying that the NNP was selling everything. But when they're speaking about commercialization, in the same breath as they're speaking about the Grenada Postal Corporation and other statutory bodies, what are the statutory bodies? The statutory bodies are the Gravel and Concrete Emulsion Corporation. That's one they were saying that should remain in the hands of the Grenadian people, etc. Now they're talking about commercialization, selling it off, right? So they have the things like the, well, yeah, to an extent, even the Grenada National Stadium is a statutory organization, is a statutory body. So next thing we know, the stadium end up in the hands of somebody or the other. You have things like NOASA is a statutory body. Next thing, in the same way that the Prime Minister has stated he don't believe that governments could run things like Grenlec, and so next thing, he moved NOASA from being a statutory body to being sold. That's a dangerous statement that was made there, you know. A very, very, very serious and dangerous statement when they start to speak commercialization in the same breath as the same things they were saying should not be sold. So the Grenada Postal Corporation then is speaking about commercialization. Yeah? And then remember my friends, that 3 senior people in the NDC have been involved in the CBI programs, as Keisha is pointing out, one there, who is the person, Miss Andrea St. Bernard. She was the key person for Henley and Partners here in Grenada. A CBI company that are here looking to come back into Grenada right now, is already back or will soon be back or have applied to come back, but they definitely will be back here in Grenada. Because what Henley and Partners would have wanted the last administration to do, they definitely would not do. But this administration might be willing to do what they want to do. And I never say if it's good or bad, nobody can sue me. All I'm saying is that what the last administration, what Henley and Partners would have wanted the last administration to do and they refused to do, this administration might be more amenable to ensuring that that happens. Especially with the person who headed their main office here in Grenada, now as the treasurer of the NDC, and I'm seeing something there about them being I'm seeing something about them being in the COVID stimulus, the CES program, along with Senator Quince Britton. So I'm seeing that. I'm not sure if she is. I've seen somebody saying that there. Yeah? So I'm just repeating according to what they're saying. Remember, the MP for St. Patrick East was a CBI agent. Why are they asking them how much passport they sell and who they bring into the country and that kind of thing? And your present Prime Minister was involved in the CBI programs. In fact, if you pass by his offices, you're still seeing the sign saying that. Is his company still involved in CBI? Are they directly involved in the Citizenship by Investment program here in Grenada? Is Mitchell and Company or any associated companies to that company presently at this time involved in the CBI program here in Grenada? If so, between the general election and now, how many investors or CBI applications have come through that organization. But they want us talk about them thing. Nah. They afraid. Shut down the talking points page. Yeah, shut them down. Or harass Sheldon Scott so he go hush. No, the more they harass me, the more I go talk. I like it when all they harass me. Give me energy to talk. I like to see people and call people cat. All you have a whole shasha cat in cabinet. A whole shasha cat. When they pass, they don't even leaving a piece of oil where the cheese was. Talk about that cat. They want to call people cat? That is one cat all you're interfering with. Yeah? So folks, as we come to the end of tonight's program, I want to make sure that you all understand something. You all see what's taking place in Dominica right now. You've seen a situation where the government has decided to go to general elections early. You've also seen the situation earlier this year in St. Kitts, where basically the government, the coalition collapsed, and therefore they had to go to general elections. With the nonsense that you hear taking place now, with the individuals, with the level of incompetence and arrogance, while they're incompetent, if you're incompetent and humble is one thing, but the incompetent and arrogant on top of it, check with the MP for Karaku, you're going to know what I'm talking about. They're incompetent and they still add arrogance on top of it. Yeah? So with that taking place, it is important for you to ensure, one, that you are registered. Two, that you get others registered. Now remember, 13-year-old now is a voter in 5 years. Let me say that again because some of you might be missing it. The 13, 14, 15, and 16-year-old right now, the 17-year-old, they are a voter next election. So the children in your house, make sure that they know the truth and they know what's going on. Make sure that they understand the importance of not only being registered, but coming out when the time comes and placing their vote in the right place. Yeah? Because there are many people that sat at home last election and now they're crying, I'm way beke. A lot of them, they sit at home, I ain't going out, I ain't bothering with that this time. And now they're crying, I'm way beke. Right? So don't be one of those that are saying, if I had known. Because I'll tell you that a lot of people that voted for the NDC, if you give them a chance right now, they're voting the NDC out. The price of goods in the store this time last year, and now you see a marked increase. But okay, they would say that between that time you've had the Ukrainian war taking place. But the Prime Minister removed the freight price. Has that decreased the price of anything? Have you seen a decrease in the price of anything? Those of you with automobiles, have you seen a decrease in the price of the parts and so that you have to buy and the consumables like oil and coolant and that sort of thing? Have you seen a decrease in those things? Have you seen a decrease in brakes and the price of tires and so because the freight has now been removed? Have you seen any decrease? Those of you that have to buy your food stuff. Have you seen a serious decrease? Now, I know what the Prime Minister is coming in and say already on Monday, you know. They're going to zero rate certain items. He's going to zero rate Pampers. He's going to zero rate sanitary products, sanitary napkins and those sort of things. He's going to zero rate those things. And I, for one, will applaud that move. I think it's a good move. So he's going to zero rate specific items. But you have to understand that they're zero rating, but with no specific plan of where they're going to make that back up. And also, while the freight may be helping his friends in the business community, how is it helping you? Have you seen your glasses man stretch as far as it used to stretch just 159 days ago? Folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you. And of course, I'm telling you now that you're going to see a different look to the program in the new year. So keep looking. Tomorrow night, we've got a lot more to speak about. We've got some different clips to play and discuss tomorrow night. And we have some other people to roast tomorrow night. All right? So that's all the time we have for tonight. Remember to like and share. Forward the link to your friends. The link that I usually send out just before the program, it remains the same. Anytime the program is about to start at 8 p.m., you just click on it. So tomorrow, Wednesday night, we're back again, God's willing, with more talking points. And whatever you say, whatever you do, do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you. And please, not about you. Love each and every one of you. I am out.
Promise one public service. Everybody will be made permanent. Nobody going home. Take Susu in you. I don't believe in superstition. Something wrong with the transformation. From the 10 boys drink the water. Strange thing happening in Grenada. 3 houses born in Victoria. 2 born in St. David soon after. David Anderson and his brother. We had suicide and murder. Who tell them drink the water? The transformation water. From the time they drink the water, like they put a spell on Grenada. They run to drink the water. The transformation water. From the time they drink the water, they start to reverse Grenada.